Welcome to our 11th Trader Chat. It is the 2nd of November 2011, and as always, we need to speak about our disclaimers before we get into the main content of today's Trader Chat. Our first disclaimer is a risk disclaimer, and it alerts you to the fact that all trading involves risk. Please be aware of and accept this risk before trading. Never trade with money you cannot afford to lose. You should also be aware that past performance of any trading methodology is no guarantee of future results. And I am making no representation in this webinar that any account will achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed. And you should be aware that all results should be considered to be hypothetical unless otherwise specified. And hypothetical performance results may have inherent limitations and, unlike an actual performance record, do not represent actual trading. Let's speak quickly about using NetViewer. The best way to ask questions is to type a message into the chat window. However, the new version of NetViewer that we're using now is pretty good. There's not much audio delay, so you can speak to me. If you are not hearing me properly, then please adjust your speaker level in the VoIP tray in the NetViewer control panel to the right of your screen. If you'd like to talk to me, and I'd welcome having you speak to me, you can right-click to indicate this, but many people do that by mistake. So it's a really good idea to put a message into the chat window saying, "I want to speak. Could you turn on my microphone, please?" The first 6 people who joined the session have their microphones enabled by default, and all you need to do is turn on your VoIP. Also, please be careful of mouse clicks, because a click of your mouse is very useful if you're trying to point something out, but it's a bit distracting because everybody sees your mouse click with your name attached to it, so it can be a bit distracting. Our online workshops have started. We had a very successful online workshop last Saturday. They're really fantastic experiences. They are Saturday. We're holding them on Saturdays. We have 2 different time zones that we target. One at the sort of Australia, New Zealand end of the time zone spectrum, and then the other is the United States, Canada sort of time zone. Of course, people in Europe can choose either one or the other. And they're Saturday sessions. The workshop sessions are 5 hours long. A lot of material, a lot of work. But they're really rewarding. There are only a few places left for the workshops that we're holding before the end of this year. And we are already booking workshops up to March of next year. So if you are interested in attending a workshop, then please let us know. Send us an email. Send us an email to workshops at sentienttrader.com. Send an email to workshops, and we can give you all the details. There are also further details on our website, but please book now, because we don't want to disappoint people by saying that the soonest we can help them become Hurst experts is going to be middle of next year. We have, of course, started several weeks ago now our chat room, online chat room, free for Sentient Trader users. If you find trading a little bit isolating, please get chatting. We're using Campfire Business Online Chat. It's an informal online chat room environment. It's there for you to exchange ideas, upload files, make conference calls, or simply hang out with like-minded people. It's not a monitored forum, so it's not a place to ask us questions or to direct messages towards us, because we're not monitoring it. It's really a place for Sentient Trader users to hang out and talk to each other if you want to. If you don't want to talk to other Sentient Trader users, then of course you don't have to. If you haven't received your invitation to that chat room, and we have sent out to all of our Sentient Trader users, then please email us on info@sentienttrader. We'll resend it. In fact, very few of our Sentient Trader users have activated their online chat room. I think less than 5%, something like 3% of our users have activated, and we would really like to encourage it, because we think it could be a lot of fun for people to exchange ideas. Today, what are we talking about today? Well, I'm talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is an actual market analysis. I'm talking about the S&P 500, and in particular, of course, I'm going to be speaking about, or proposing various thoughts as to what what trough occurred on the 4th of October 2011. So that's what we're going to be chatting about. I see there are some messages. I think it's just people saying hello. Yes, I apologize for the quality of my voice. I hope you can hear me properly. I don't know whether it was returning from Canada on various different airlines, or if it was the infant germ dissemination group, which masquerades as a play school that my 2.5-year-old son goes to in the mornings. But I picked up some nasty lurgy, and so I've been struggling with that and lost my voice. So all the more reason to hand over the discussion to anybody who has any comments to add with regards to the analysis on the S&P 500. But let's go straight into a discussion of the S&P 500, and please add your comments. I do think when talking about an analysis of the market, it's really important to to look at lots of ideas, because only through including the ideas of other people can you really genuinely build confidence in your own analysis, or maybe open your eyes to the fact that some analysis might be better than the ones you're proposing. I'm in fact going to talk through 3 similar but slightly different analyses that I think potentially might be playing out in the S&P 500 at the moment. The fascinating thing about performing analysis using Hurst's cyclic theory is that every day, as new price material comes in, one has reason to either believe that your analysis is definitely on the right track, or to question your analysis. So the any analysis is an organic process. It's constantly changing. I see some more people saying hello. So greetings to you. Let me see which one am I going to start with. I think I've left this open on the wrong one. Here we go. I think this is the analysis I'm going to start speaking about. Let me first of all start with the big picture, which is of course what one should always do. And I'm only going back to 2003, March 2003, and there are various reasons for that. Let me just turn off some things and show you a nice, try and make it a slightly prettier picture, slightly easier to understand picture. Okay. This is actually a chart that I just quickly prepared earlier today, and so I want to say straight away I completely disagree with the position of this 54-month cycle trough. So let's not talk about that. But in terms of the bigger picture, what I'm looking at, and I'm going to just pull out a whiteboard and a pen and show you this whiteboard uses a particular sequence. Okay, March 2003 over here. I believe was certainly a trough of at least 18-month strength. All right. I'm also personally convinced that it was a trough of 4.5 years, 54 months. I've written a rather bad 54 months there. So I believe March 2003 was the trough of the 4.5-year cycle. So in many ways, what I'm presenting today is based on that premise. That's something we can argue, and I welcome your opinions about that. I know that in the forum, and I hope everybody's looking at our Sentient Trader user forum, and there's been some really interesting material put in the forum about the analysis I'm discussing today, and I know that that there is now perhaps a little bit of a question mark next to that 54-month trough over there in 2003. But for now, let's say that well, certainly the analysis I'm presenting is based on the fact that there was a 54-month trough in 2003. Then, of course, there had to be 3 18-month cycles. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. And so then here is the next 54-month cycle trough, which I think many people agree was that's August of 2007, and I think the generally accepted view is that that was a trough of the 54-month, 4.5-year cycle. It is a very beautiful example of a straddled trough. Whenever somebody says to me, "What is a straddled trough?" I say, "Look at August of 2007. That's a really good example of a 4.5-year straddled trough." Why? Because price rose to a peak before the trough. It came down, formed what seems to be insignificant, considering that we're looking at a 54-month, 4.5-year cycle. It seems insignificant considering the magnitude of the cycle that it is a trough of. Then price went up and formed a fairly typical sort of fairly symmetrical shape on each side of the trough, and then of course headed down again. So that symmetrical picture with a fairly insignificant trough in the middle is a beautiful example of a straddled trough, which is another reason to believe that that was a 54-month cycle trough. And then, of course, we would expect another 3 18-month cycles to play out before the next 54-month trough, which, according to this analysis, we're still expecting towards the end of this year or early next year. Okay, so that's the really big picture. I might speak, yes, I think perhaps I'll speak now. That's the sort of big picture that is behind all 3 analyses that I'm going to show you today. And I'm going to show you 3 different analyses which have subtle differences to them, but they all have that basic premise underlying them, the longer term picture. Let me show you that longer term picture again. Here we go. And let me zoom out, and I'm going to add something else into the mix, and you can stand up and shout if you like, because I know not everybody is convinced